So the Maamar is explaining the diak of Niflaos. Not simply Oisefela, he makes wonders, as we find in other psukim. For example, the Shira, but Niflaos. So this is understood by prefacing the Alter Rebbe's explanation. Alter Rebbe explains the diak k'kiter chazdecha mechayim. Better is your chesed than life. So he's masbir that chayim includes all the levels, including mechayim, chayim, which then lead to the actual act of chesed. As he explained, the parallel, the nefesh adam, that there's the actual bestowal, the actual chayim, the actual ashpa, whether it's money or food, which is prompted, of course, by the feelings of chesed. But tracing it back, there's the feelings of chesed in the heart that have to be expressed, and that is higher there, and that itself comes from the etzem, the pnimius of the midah, which from there, without the arousal in the heart, there's no act of ashpa. It's from the etzem comes the ava, and the ava is already a relationship with the other, with the zulos, and then, missing a level now, then from the ava becomes the mach, or it is there, it's not another level. This revealed ava in the heart is the machaye chayim, which is the source for the act of chayim. Right, so there's the three dargas. There's the actual bestowal, there's the feeling in the heart, that the source of that machaye chayim, and then there is the etzem midah. As the person is hardwired, the kind of person that he is. So likewise, the Maila, and we got names and levels. We'll leave the harder 7, meanwhile. We'll just get straight, hopefully, what it says in the opinion. All right? So the Maila, the lowest darg is called Chesed Olam. Olam Chesed Yiboneh. So this is a darga that's related to creation and mashpia. What level is that? That's Chesed Atzilus. And that's called Chayim. And he added the caveat, or not only it does include the level of Chayim, it also includes a level of Machaye Chayim. We suggested because it's not just Chesed Atzilus itself, that the actual mashpia directly, but it's invested in Malchus. So Chesed is like the Machaye Chayim. But overall, it's the level of Chayim. Then there's a Chesed Elyon, which is higher than Chesed Olam, that's called Rav Chesed. So in Chesed itself, it's Riboy. This is like the feeling within the heart, closer to the person, where it's much more expressive of the self than the actual act that it bestows. It's Rav Chesed. And this is the true Machaye Chayim, right? The source. What level is it? The Maila, it's Chesed of Arachanpin, low level of Chesed, the source of Netzalim. Then there is the Chofetz Chesed, and that's the level we speak of in our pasuk Chazdecha, your Chesed, which we explained the diak that Hashem desires Chesed, for the Eibush is not hardwired, God forbid, in any kind of midah, but it's his choice to express himself. But here's the level where it is Chazdecha. That's the Chesed Atzmi. That's what we're saying. The pasuk is saying that rather Chesed Atzmi, then all of the levels of Chayim and Machaye Chayim are the loftiest levels. We did the next paragraph. We did, yeah? Did we? Let's start it again. The Maamar that will continue Sheklolos Amshachas Chesed V'Chaim Milamayla. General Damshacha, we did this. In general, Damshacha is Ba'ifin Shel Tzarusel L'Tata David Esadam Lamata. It happens through our awakening from below, as we said, to be lovable and deserving of the Chesed, and then the Ashpa comes. How? So to what degree do we manipulate, as it were, and affect Ishtal Shalus? To the degree that now Shoirish, the person cannot lift himself beyond his own Shoirish. Shemagaz ad sheresh hanetzolim. So avodah reaches the level of the source of hetzolim, which is bechidas arachampim devish ezrotz, as it were. Shazeh hamokim shatshom magaz harasuta. This is the level, since it's an intrinsic ilu process, so we can trace it back in effect and reach this level of arich ampin, and it's from there that the hashpah comes. Shom nipshachin nachayim, and it's there that the chayim actually comes, and it's from the level of machayim chayim, which is arich. Arich is the machayim chayim, and hashpah is the chayim. So it's all the v'yerech ha'if, and it's also the letat shadavid is adam l'mat. How much hashpah, what kind of hashpah? It's all in accordance with the person's avodah. Yeah, we're up to, should we just, once the end of his base. So therefore, the pa'amim base off is sometimes more, the pa'amim chas v'sham la'ibech, begeroin, sometimes less deserving, less lovable, less avodah, so the hashpah lacks. As you looked at Order 11, the words of the Alter Rebbe there in more detail. Then there's a whole higher Amshachim, that it comes not from the Sherish and Etzolim, not from the Adich, but from the very essence of his Midah, Chavitz Chesed. There's more. And not according to the Avedis Adam. Sometimes the diak as we were speaking yesterday, the diak of the Pekeh Hanon Nosibalka, that it gets less. But it could also be more. Here the Rebbe is because it's not telling Avedis Adam. So here the Rebbe is being mamshich the Indian that it's on the contrary. Since it's not telling Avedis Adam, it's much more. Let's go further. Which of course begs the question, of course, the Chiddush, Teif Chazdach HaMachaim, you want your Atzmizdike, true, big, full chesed, rather than the Chaim that comes to Ishtal Shalos. That's the Chiddush, and it's the end of the mind. But first, another question. How do we even reach this? If it's beyond our Avodah. The answer is quite surprising. How do we draw on this level? Usually the answer is, when a person goes beyond self, then they wish to respond in kind, from Mesilas Nefesh. That's not the answer here. Since this is a level, we're talking the etzem of Midas Chazdai, where Avodah does not touch. So how do we affect it? Understand this by bringing an example of the conduct of a father and his child. There's two ways. So when the child is already older and has some capacity of reason, and the child is already matured, that he can behave himself in an orderly way, if you're as the father, the parent would want, is completely in the chelkai, or in part, if you're about pachas chelkai, or even less than in part. But there is this symbiotic relationship of expectation, and the child's mature enough to be able to conduct him or herself accordingly. So as he mistagav mashpia l'bnoi, so the relationship then, the father's mashpia l'fi erech ha'banosa, l'fi erech ha'nagosa, according to the child's understanding and according to the child's conduct. But a special needs child. Or a very young child. And the father sees that the child is not shaykh to Avon Basoga, not shaykh to understanding, there's no reasoning. When the shaykh on Hogam Mesuderes, the child is not shaykh to this oldly Avida, and Hogam Shetigim Nachas La'av, that it's going to be reciprocal, the child does, and the parents have Nachas. Not happening. So then what? Child abandoned? Of course not. It's the child. So then the father conducts himself in the second way. This is 2 lines on the bottom of page Lamed Ches. He gets tremendous hashpah with notwithstanding these chashiv, not looking, not reckoning, klal at all, the mind with the matzav haben, the matzav of the child. This conduct, the child is not shaykh to an hoga that would elicit a response. That would come as a result of the child's appropriate behavior. So what is it? Rav Chesed. So likewise, there's two ways that Hashem deals with us. So there's the avodah that is drawn to us, proportionate to our avodah. Included in this relationship is also in addition to getting that which is directly proportionate to the understanding, the grasp of the Yid, he gets even more. But this is all elicited through avodah. So it's not a great, but it's still bound with the person's avodah. This still has a limit. Even Rav Chesed, which is Haydn Chesed Olam, which we said is Arich. Shayeches Adayin the Sheresh and Etzolim is still connected and bound and relatively limited. Connected to the source of Netzolim Ratzilus of creation, therefore limited. The unusual oisius, Maitzel Yisborach, Hashem's referred to as the Maitzel, the source of Atzilus. If he's going to go this route, nothing's going to happen because the Yid is just not serving the Eibishter from the Suddha. There's no Tata. The fish ain't koyach b'tachtoinim lo'odir hashef mitzad maseyim. The lower ones, that's us, don't have the koyach to lo'odir dashpa through their actions. K'moshel aben, like a child, she'nishayich le'imdad himself on the vasoga, and hoge kifi yarotz. And he's not shayich to have on the vasoga and conducting himself as is appropriate. So then what? As I say that who Sham Shochas Hashpa and the Shufi Badipi got it because it's quite the statement here. Undeserving to get everything. Without taking consideration at all the Maimad the Matziv of the Tacht. So what is he advocating here? So, we should abandon Avodah, abandon Avon of Asoga, and be that immature child or that special child, and then be the subject of not just Rav Chesed, but the Atzmizdike Chesed. What does it mean? Right at the end of Maimon is talking
here, keep in mind, the situation only when the child isn't capable. One's capable of more. And
that's true. Yeah, that's important observation. In fact, the child is incapable.
The implication is we're not capable. And whatever we're going to do, we're not capable. And Hashem's going to give us enough to.
Well, but not really. When he says it is two-way fun, it's totally the matziv of the ben. We could be that child that is capable. Could be. Okay, let's reserve comment and wait till the end. If the mind clarifies, if not, we'll try and suggest our own. Yeah, it looks like there is later in Avodah. Let's see. So continuing, so this answers the diak of the Niflaos, the nun, as opposed to Pella, but the Sefes nun, the extra nun, which is beyond ordinary wonder, which is the latest system, which doesn't have it. What's the Indian? So even the hashpa is proportionate to a person's avodah. As an initial pella, it's also a pella. Why is it a pella? He deserves it. No. Eise pella, he does wonders. Why deficient? No, because we get more than we invest. We should only get chesed olam. But through avodah, it's a pella. We get this relative beyond limit. So that's ordinary oisef pella. But still, this that we're describing now, even the oisef pella, is tluy about avodas adam. It comes as a result of avodas adam shemagas tzedishan etzalim bilvad, which he reaches only his own source, which is tzedishan etzalim, the mindset. That's pella. Niflaos daike b'toisves nun. What's the diuk here? Shemiloshen nifal. In grammar, nifal. Spoil is nifal. Nifal, it means passive tense. Yeah, it happens of its own. This language, Niflaos, is passive language, implies that the pa'ula is not elicited through the bends of Vaida, what's effected within the child from above. It's above's doing exclusively. Notwithstanding is friends, we're getting tremendous brachas here. He gets Beshufi means in an uninterrupted flow, an abundance of B'ribi godly b'yoser and great measure. So that's the diak of what Niflaos. The pasuk concludes, Lois in Niflaos gedolis levada. He alone. Shesed zeh shetiyam shocha. Shenet tluya ve'en lefi yercha b'des adam klal. This kind of relationship, it's not totally an Arab either. So what are we touching? This is beyond the source of Netzolim. He alone. Yep. Go further. Footnote 12. The Rebbe says, this is now, till now is the mind of the Alter Rebbe. Now the Rebbe has. From the order of the Memorim, in this book that the Rebbe is, this new bundle of manuscripts, that the Rebbe is shared this Maimer from the Alter Rebbe, it appears, this is a Maimer connected to Shminat Simchas Torah. Footnote 13, let's see. Lahoyer, says the publisher, it's noteworthy. In another Kisvayad, he's not out there, he's a Tzidim road. Where this Maimer is also found, amongst a selection, a group rather, of Maimorim for the month of Tishrei. But he said as a Maimer, on the top of this Maimer, which we are sharing, it says as a crown, as the heading, Yisrochav, the day after Yom Tov. And this makes it even sweeter, and we can appreciate that, which explains that Rebbe's God goes on to tell us, that what we're describing here is drawn also after Simchas Torah Meshach Kol Hashana Kula, for the whole year, as opposed to just on Simchas Torah itself. Yisrochav. This Maimer was said not on but after. So it's connected with Simchas Torah, but it's said afterwards. Back in the Maimer, that's where the Maimer begins with this pasuk. It's which we said before our conference. What's his point? However, next page, Shem, just like just like everything about Simchas Torah, Akavoni, the intent is that the tremendous Giluyim end them, but they should be drawn throughout the year. In such a way that throughout the year, Hashem's revelation should be without concealment, without tzimtzum. In accordance to the quality in Simcha, the Simchas Torah, just like Simchas Torah itself, there's no concealment. That this joy has to permeate the year. The hell of the Simchas Torah is the opposite of concealment and measure and limit. How they move and it's understood. So not only the general simcha, but this inyan we're speaking about now, this amshach of la'is in the flays gedolos levadoi. Shakavoni hish inyan zeh yumshach ba'ifan goloi. The point is, isrucha, they should continue in a revealed way with meshach al hashana kula throughout the year. Meaning, shekol shetik gadol hashpa milamayla. If he oifen and agosam shabnei sabavi dosam, as great as the ashpa that comes above in accordance with our avodah, we understand and so on. Since that's only Sheresh Netzolim, Ches Machayim Chayim, Ein Ze Adayna Inyan Shem Mekavim Mavakshim B'nei Yisrael. This is not what we're asking for. We're asking what? Chazdecha, Niflaos, higher completely than Avodah Sa'adah. Like the Alter Rebbe said, quoted in Derech Mitzvah, he would say in his Dveikus, Ich will say God, I want nothing, not you, not you, Ich will man it as dich allein, only you alone. She's there in Shalom, because they shtal shalos. This is completely beyond the shtal shalos. We keep Shemaim at Ben Azak and Alhova. We shadish mitzvah tefillah. Since this is quoted, but that's Tzemach Tzedek and shadish mitzvah tefillah, which is what the Inyan Zel Loim Dim Chassidim. Chassidim, what did the word say? Chassidim learn shadish mitzvah tefillah. It's a foundational line. We've all learned it, right? In the Gale, he's burning the Shalom with respect to their bonus, bat tefillah Shalom, and their davening. Yodam nimshachin l'shab b'nei Yisrael, and through Chassidim, this is nimshach to all other Yidden, which is. So Chassidim learn sherish mitzvah tefillah, and there that Tzemach Tzedek brings this word to the Alter Rebbe. Muchach, before we must conclude, shemetz mineyu shaykh l'kol echad v'yachad. Trace at least is shaykh to each and every one. Being yized, tzarich l'tlei toisves chayis b'avidosai, and knowing this, that he shaykh steward to ask from the Eibishter, as the Alter Rebbe did. I want nothing but you alone, chazdecha. So this gives him the toisves chayis in his avodah. Lifa elo inyan the lois in Niflaos gedoy leis levadoi. Niflaos and levadoi. Einish avidose being the oise. He is avodah that he does. Oise in the tzedek shalmokim. According to Gemara, the feeling, doing the will of Hashem. Tia loidak beivin shiyim shachli is oise fella. It is. So this is avodah. This is avodah. Let's just read the words and we'll try and sort it out. But so it should be in such a way that it's not only being mamshech the level of pella, which is at Shurish and Ivroim. Rav Chesed, Ela sheyum shechagam ba'inyan di Niflaos. But it should be mamshich niflaos, v'leidach niflaos stam, ela gam niflaos gedolos. And b'meshach kol hashana kula throughout the whole year. Okay, we'll finish it. Lafasam, try Lafasam. Let's just read it at his words. Yesh lekashes em teresav Hashem. And we can connect this with the Baal Shem Tov's teaching on this pasuk. Shemei v'chak admot, Shemei v'chak marav chamel. The Fittig ever brings. The Ma'amar of Shindal, ala pasuk lois niflaos gedolos lev. Yaakov Hecht used to quote this. JJ, ala pasuk lois niflaos gedolos levadoi ki lo yolam chazdoi. He makes great wonders levadi alone for his chesed is eternal. Kol ma'ashakadosh baruch hu oiseh, all the Eibusha does in the Eibusha does, gam binyan ha'olam, even in this world, the lo yirak pel, it's not just wonders. Ela niflaos gedolos levadoi, great wonders alone. Vad shegoyd laf la'osam shal niflaos, that who really knows and appreciates the greatness of the wonder? Only he does. Rak levadoi yidei osam. Only he knows how the emes, what we are getting, is niflaos pele, the etzem chazdecha, totally beyond. The one to whom the wonder happens is not even aware that it happened. But in Balanes, Maki Benisoi, it's only Levadoi, Hashem alone knows. The Mamshech Levayer, I think it's at the Baal Shem Tov, but I'll explain Hakosov Ki Lo Yolam Chazdoi. Ki, because forever is his chesed. What's ki? Ki is Chok. Yud 20 and 10, a Malamed Kalim, these are the 30 Kalim. The Zunda Atzilus, which of Atzilus, Zoh Malchus, Shenasim Naram the Biyah, to become the Neveshuach Neshama Biyah. Bekitzer, 30, the idea of 30 is that the Kalim all have, each has 3 levels. There's the Etzem, and there's the Pneumius and the Chitzonis. That's the 30, 10 times 3. Point being, that's Nimshach and the Kalim and the Pneumius is tremendous.
But he said Zun, not Ava. Zun is only 7.
Yes, but still bound up with the 10. But that's what it says, B'chla. That's the Lamed Kalim. It's all interconnected. Lamed Kalim of Zun. Zun has in it Ashpa of all the spheres. I mean, Zun doesn't come in a vacuum. A component, I don't know, we can't say more, that's what I can tell you. At any rate, the point being that it's Nimshech, what in the Pneumius? Shebehem Bal Yodom, Amshachas, Chazdei Ba'olam. That's the whole point of the Pneumius. HaKelim Ki, La'olam, it's drawn down, this Atzmizdika level of Chesed is drawn down into the world. The point being, as we're saying, that Amshach of Simchas Torah and the Niflaos is for the whole year. Ki li'olam chazda. Racha v'chein tiyeh lanu. So should it be for us and Niflaos gedolos levadoi, that these wondrous gedolah and Niflaos that only he himself appreciates. Shimshechu la'olam, drawn into the world, ad olam hazeh agashmi v'achundi, to this physical and coarse world, the matim asar tvachim, below asar tvachim, which means in this domain, in the Shus Arabim, from Goli in a revealed way, bechasodim agluyim, in revealed chesed, bebane chayim zayne revich, in nachas from children, healthy children and health, and parnasa in abundance. Okay, this requires a lot of thinking. Be'ez Hashem, we will review it tomorrow, the whole Maimon, and continue with the next. We can start now, actually. We'll just do the first Oisa 2 now. what are we left with? I mean, what are we grappling with? It is.
Once you learn the kitzer,
Which is not going to help us reconcile here. Is it avodah or not avodah? So what are we left with? So the answer is, but see, it's avodah, and then go beyond avodah, the recognition that avodah is the paucity of it all. It's not an excuse not to do, but to go beyond it all and recognize whatever we did, it's embarrassing. And Lois and Niflaos, Gadol is Levada, Yebishter, give it, Yitev Chazdach.
is he trying to say, like the mushal, that don't be like the child who doesn't do anything and gets everything, but rather be like the child who can and nevertheless work on it to get the same thing like the other child?
Well, we are not that, we do have some level of Anavasaga, so we're not exempt. The kids is not giving us anything. The Alter Rebbe's vote, he says at the end, that's the ikar of the Maimis, it's Alter Rebbe's vote that I won. I'll tell you what the problem here is that again, in the Cloud, the diak is the diak of the Bekech is that he wants from the king alone, even if it's less. I just want it from you. I don't want it in Bashva. That's the diak. If Vilzek Gornish, what's Alter Rebbe's got a bigger appetite. I don't want your lower Ganded, I want your upper Ganded. Not enough for me. I need to have you alone. It's not that he wants more, it's bittul. On the contrary, it's bittul. Complete surrender. I don't want the experience. I want you. Yet, that's on the one hand. That's B'chlal now to explain. That's the greatness of the Bikeyah. Anon Nasid Malka. I want it from your hand. I don't want Ashba. It means nothing to me. If it doesn't come from you, I don't feel your gift, your hand, your presence. It's meaningless to me. But here he's saying, and this is like, the Rebbe is being mamshich the Indian to us all, that the net result is not, therefore, little ashba, but completely beyond all limits. But and we know that he's telling this to us. So I want more. I want you. That's the tension here. It's beyond all limits. Mamshich for a whole year, like the Simcha, Niflaos, everybody. And yet it's born from an avodah that is beyond self. Beyond self. The Alter Rebbe is avodah. We have to do. We're not the child that is. We have responsibilities and we have to do it. At the same time, we have to. Not the same time. The avodah is to. That's not my avodah. This is what's deserving and precipitate. With the whole avodah, he surrenders it all. But to think about this further, friends, each one.